Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Happy Tuesday and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, live from the Room to Room Weather Center, and we'll be joined alongside Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupont here shortly. What we're tracking is that limited rain chance that's lingering into our evening forecast. Of course, our big headline heading into our Tuesday evening plans. Have a soccer game, want to go to the park? Well, you might be dealing with some rainfall, but that's only for some specific locations. We'll also have the latest look at burn bands and how these showers do reflect on those burn bands and what we expect in that extended forecast, which honestly wouldn't be surprised to see more counties added to it. And more fall-like weather is on the way once all of this rain wraps up, and we are just excited about that transition. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in our Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupont to walk us through what to expect this evening. And Matt, fantastic weather on the way once that cold front clears.
Absolutely. You know, I was actually at a golf tournament, the Tenderfoot Classic, a little earlier on today at Tupelo National Country Club, and it was legitimately kind of hot and humid out there. That is one of the things we're transitioning away from over the course of the next 24 hours or so as we look ahead here in the Room to Room Weather Center. We're going to be going more toward, I think, a less sticky forecast. I don't think a lot of folks will really complain about that. As you can see here, looking over the course of the first 12, really at some of the best chances for rainfall we have for a while. Later on this evening, of 30% on that rain coverage there, 81 degrees. That temperature dropping to 72 by 9. You can see that rain coverage becoming non-zero, but pretty spotty into tonight. Temperatures in the 60s, which is something they did not drop to this morning. A sign that that drier air is starting to settle into the area going forward. Looking at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, again, we do have some isolated showers out there. I'm going to make a longer loop and then a shorter loop for you. Again, 6-hour loop here kind of start. Shows we do have that front kind of moving in, a few waves ahead of that of these showers and an occasional rumble. We have a few on the wide shot here, as you can see. Not a lot initially there, but in the last couple of hours, we've seen a few more strikes. Listen, that shows only 37. So as we talked a lot about last night, these are not severe thunderstorms, but from time to time, they will be legitimately thunderstorms there. So let's come in closer toward around Monroe County, stretching back into Clay County. This batch of showers here. Again, not a lot of lightning strikes on this, and this is just starting to kind of light up a little bit more. If you look closely, you can see just kind of a little darker green there along this boundary, sliding toward the south and east, producing, again, these isolated storms. And again, they are not overly impressive, and they're not particularly swift moving. So I'm going to track the part all the way from near Hamilton, Alabama there, back toward Aberdeen, and then stretching out here close to around West Point. We're going to track them south and eastward. 18 looks like about as fast as we need to go on that. As you can see there, working its way eventually toward Ewan at about 5:10, closer to about 5:20 there or for the Brilliant area. I'm going to switch this back over into analysis mode here for just a moment. That will allow us to do a few other things. One of those is look at some of the rainfall. And again, it has not been excessively impressive, but we have seen some moderate rainfall out of the heaviest of these showers out there this afternoon. Checking some of the cameras with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. And again, appreciate those folks there for allowing us to use these cameras. We're going to go Aberdeen here, looking as those showers kind of encroaching in. It is 81. There's actually a heat index making it feel like 88 degrees, a sign of kind of that stickiness out there with those spotty showers and storms around. Going down to Clay County, I think we saw both these cameras on last night, looking again into some of those isolated showers. Big gaps between, but some little bits of rainfall. And again, those crepuscular rays where the sun is kind of trying to come through there. Doesn't look like that reporting station next to West Point is showing up at this point and time. Bring it back here to the rainfall mode on Mississippi Live Weather Radar and just kind of drive home that point. Look at one of the heaviest of these, this one here closer to Brilliant, moving toward Rock City. I'll put this one back into motion again here, a 1-hour loop. And checking the hail mode on this, which, there's no shock there. There's no hail. And again, appreciate the True Shield Roofing folks for helping us look at that. Even on the wide shot here, no hail from any of these. So again, these are relatively weak. Behind this initial wave, there's not much activity. It's not impossible to get maybe something developed. And again, ahead of it, still have a few of these down here closer to Crawford and towards Sugarlock as well. But these are all kind of drifting toward the south and east with a speed of no faster than about 15 miles per hour. And honestly, I'm probably a little too fast on that. Gabe, I know I can still hear you in the background there. What do you think on the speed here? I think we're probably good at about 10 to 15 and maybe even overdoing a little bit on that.
I think 15 gives folks enough of a heads up. But yeah, I think this is closer to 10, might I say. I was just not a fast mover. just
No.
those bands as they move on through. Some areas faster than others. It looks like that one there towards Tuscaloosa County might be a little bit more speedy, but yeah, 10-15 is
But
good.
most of these are just kind of creeping, right?
Yeah, exactly. Crawl into the next county.
Yeah, so you can see this batch here, we show Deerbrook there about 550, X Prairie about 558. I do want to come back northward and get a longer track on kind of this little wave that's producing these showers. We kind of drew this on a minute ago here. This is kind of the last of the more meaningful stuff, and I'll say 16 miles per hour, and then we're going to extend this out a little further. So let's make this about a 40-mile track. Let's go 45 miles. That gets it most of the way through there in Noxubee County. I'm going to shrink the number of locations on that to just kind of give you an idea. And so we show Solingen about 513, West Point 527. We're looking Starkville about 606, Columbus about 619. Again, this is assuming about 15 miles per hour. That might be a little fast on this. So looking Artesia at about 630. Millport 639, toward around Brooksville about 728, Pickettsville close to 750. I mean, again, the forecast gets a little bit more vague the farther out it gets, but again, just some moderate rainfall out of it. And then if you get behind this, things definitely start feeling more pleasant in a hurry. Going back up to northwest Mississippi, we're going to check a couple of the cameras up there, and you can see in Crenshaw, it's 84, still feels like 88, but that's not as big a gap between those two numbers as what we had down there in Monroe County, right? So the stickiness, not quite as impressive there, but we'll have pretty similar temperatures in Batesville right now. You can see just those beautiful blue skies. And so this will clear out, bring drier air. I know we definitely, desperately need rainfall. Gabe will talk more about some of those burn bands here in a minute, but it definitely dries out a lot more behind this initial wave that we have in place there. So bringing it back here to Mississippi Live Weather Radar, and again, showing some of that severe threat. That's one of the things that Gabe has in here that we're analyzing. And again, no severe threat of significance out of any of these storms. Thankfully, just kind of looking at our threat tracker, it's just moderate rainfall really at most. So what do we have going on? Again, I kind of alluded to this a second ago. We have this front, this cold front moving in from the north and west. There's not much behind it there. High pressure, and that largely means drier air. One of the big stories with this is the fact that it will feel a lot less humid because we just have much drier air coming in behind it here. So high pressure, you generally have, again, clockwise flow around one of these high pressure centers. And so this is going to be pushing in with that dry air from the north and west, making it seem a lot less humid over the course of the next couple of days as that gradually settles in. As far as cooler temperatures are concerned, and again, this is not as big of a factor for us. It does get a little bit cooler behind it, but you might remember last night at this time when we kind of queried and saw what was behind this, there were a few spots up there I could get some 50s to show up. Notice that's not the case for this evening. The cold air is not the story, it's the drier air, the less humid air that follows in behind the system that really is the telltale sign of what it is capable. So as we look at Futurecast here into and through the remainder of this evening, you'll note that there's just not a lot of widespread rainfall behind this front, though we do show a few showers up there closer to Jonesboro. Most activity kind of running this prefrontal wave, still showing a few of those out there closer to Birmingham. And again, I think it's probably still showing the clouds, but not as much in the way of precipitation there close to Starkville and Yazoo City. Still maybe one little wave of a few sprinkles. But as you can see, the majority, the more meaningful rainfall is all out of here by that point in time. And as this front slides in, it's a non-zero chance for rainfall tomorrow, but it's also rather unimpressive that we shoot a few of those closer to Yazoo City and Greenville in the overnight hours, the first part of tomorrow. Cloud cover building in initially there, but drier weather is the story again, as we should be in the upper 70s for highs tomorrow. Look at these north winds. Arguably a little breezy. No, not arguably. Will be a little breezy out of the north and northeast. Drier air settling in. Rain chances gone. In a lot of ways, a very nice fall-like day with only upper 70s out there for highs. Could be some mid-70s up there around Corinth near the Tennessee state line for as far as those temperatures make it. So definitely feeling a bit cooler. Coming up here in about 60 seconds, we'll look ahead at a couple things. First off, just how much cooler, how longer it lasts. This is also severe weather preparedness week, and we're talking about what makes a severe thunderstorm and what makes a thunderstorm one that obviously we need to shelter from. Rainfall might be one thing, but when we start talking about severe weather, there are very specific criteria. I'll talk about that with our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, from the Room to Room Weather Center here in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather at 5 continues right after this.
At Room to Room, the VIP sale is here. And for a limited time, enjoy an extra 10% off Row furniture. From classic neutrals to bold statement pieces, Row gives you modern style with timeless comfort. Don't miss the VIP sale happening now, only at Room to Room Tupelo.
Tupelo Smiles is a top-notch group. They're very compassionate about what they do. They've given me the smile that I've always wanted. I've been a patient for 15 years and I wouldn't go anywhere else. I just love Tupelo Smiles.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, rain is a blessing and a curse, and one of the big ways that will impact our forecast is on those burn bans moving forward. We have added a county to our burn ban list. Lee County, of course, is included within that up until October 19th. Possible extension, definitely a realistic possibility in that extended forecast, but Attala County being added to that burn ban list, unfortunately, for folks that need to get some of that burning done. But as of right now, we have 2 counties in the entire state of Mississippi that's under those burn bans, but those showers, a big driver in that forecast in regards to why those burn bans are put in place. It is, of course, to keep folks safe. And so, Matt, we want folks to stay as safe as possible. Understand there are risks with that, but it's not just burn bans this time of year. You know, as the seasons change, severe weather is a realistic possibility. And as we head into severe weather preparedness week, just what do folks need to be looking out for that severe weather?
Well, we talked yesterday about, putting together the preparation, the kit. Of course, more information on that at ready.gov on how you can do that. But when we start thinking about severe thunderstorms, very specific criteria go into that. In particular, 3 things qualify as a severe thunderstorm: wind gusts 58 miles per hour or greater, hail 1 inch in size or larger, or a tornado. Now, obviously, when a tornado is spotted or confirmed, National Weather Service will upgrade to a tornado warning. But severe thunderstorms that produce tornadoes often produce the other factors as well. 1 inch hail, it happens because the circulation into the thunderstorm producing a tornado is able to loft up water droplets that then freeze and then refreeze and add layers and layers to produce large hail. So a lot of times, strong tornadoes and large hail tend to go hand in hand. 58 mile per hour winds. We do get these what we call mesoscale convective systems. A lot of times with just that line of wind moving through. That's one way in which we get that damaging wind. Sometimes we get microbursts like what we had last year in Columbus that caused just all that significant damage all around town. And then, of course, the other way, what we call RFD winds, a storm rotating, trying to produce a tornado, but as the winds are coming around trying to produce a tornado, instead it kicks out damaging winds. When any of those winds are 58 mile per hour or greater, that's when the National Weather Service issues a severe thunderstorm warning. A lot of our warnings come for that, and a lot of times it's verified by trees knocked down here and there. And one way, again, if we're prepping ahead for this, Gabe, is just to be making sure that we're mindful of where those trees are already kind of weakened. You mentioned drought, that weakens trees, that kills trees. If there's a dead tree hanging over the bedroom, that's not a safe place when we start talking about severe weather. And we'll talk more over the next couple of days about how to find that safe place. But now is the time, while it's fairly clear, to be planning ahead, because obviously when severe weather is here, there's no planning, there's just reacting.
Yeah, Matt, I need to put the video out there of you taking my dead tree down at the Maynor household last year, because did us some favors, and hey, you got that work put in. So we appreciate you for keeping us, of course, severe weather prepared. So
And luckily, that was not a terribly wide tree. There's a level in which I wouldn't feel, prepared to really deal with that. But yeah, it's just about that preventative maintenance certainly is going to save you a lot of insurance headache down the road.
For sure. And also, knowing where those winds are coming from can kind of assist of where you need to be. There's one tree that is, of course, over the master bedroom, but our guest bedroom, it doesn't have a tree over the top of it. And if those winds were going, a little bit west to east, you kind of understand the orientation. But I guess that goes into the meteorological side of it. And we might just know a little bit more of the background than what's just common knowledge. So just get away from trees. That's the summary. So
absolutely. The middle of the lowest floor. That's what we always say.
Exactly. And we'll talk more details about that coming up tonight at 6. But this week, that's what we're really going to be pushing the emphasis of, is just staying weather prepared, severe weather prepared, and a perfect time to do so, like Matt was mentioning, when we're not under that severe weather threat. As you can see behind me, we're just dealing with a few scattered showers all across North Mississippi and even down there around Jackson. I would say the most significant batch of showers and storms is either up there towards Huntsville or down south there towards Atmore and Montgomery, Alabama, both of which are in Alabama, not here in Mississippi. So fortunately, we are going to continue to experience some of those calmer conditions. Now, zooming in specifically on the North Mississippi area, you can see that we do still have a few locations we are watching, one of which being there in Monroe County, kind of that boundary that has been allowing for some of these showers to continue to build and develop over that 30-minute loop. I know Matt took a look at this before, but just watch how that one there towards Benford starts to increase in intensity, should I say? I don't even want to use intensity because this is not strong at all. And ironic that it's moving through strong because it's not strong. It's just in strong. There we go. That's how we're going to explain it. And back there towards Clay County, watching this one just kind of collapse in on itself. This one, of course, flaring up right away, but you can almost see that boundary take away from it and start to go a little bit ahead. And that's where we're starting to see that diminish in strength. So folks over there in Griffith, I would say Griffith, well, it's over the top of you right now. We'll say Cedar Bluff and Siloam. Those areas, kind of a bit of a stretch of getting some of those showers as that's kind of collapsing in. But along that boundary, continue to see a few of these develop. Down there towards Noxubee County, starting to get a little bit of a batch of showers. And we'll take this one, again, moving at about 10 to 15 miles an hour if we put it all the way towards Shuqualak and Macon. We'll do 14 to keep folks on the safe side. Shuqualak 523, McLeod 542, Wahalek 544, Paulette 558, and of course Bigby Valley right there around 606 if this were to hold together. This is our strongest band that we have so far in regards to like holding together, but not necessarily strong in regards to the weather that we'll see. So that's fortunate and definitely not like what we're getting out there towards northern Alabama. Now, a few of those rainfall totals like we were talking about a moment ago, heaviest down south along Highway 82, but definitely grateful for even getting a few sprinkles. We had a few over there at the Maynor household in Lee County and outputs of about 1/4 of an inch. It's enough to water the plants, so there's no complaining about that, knocking off one of the things on the to-do list. As we see in Tippah County, 5/100ths of an inch, not 500 inches, 5/100ths of an inch, so not significant. An inch down there in southern Lowndes County, around the Starkville area, an inch as well. Our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut posted a picture saying, he was walking to class in the rain. So some areas having to get the umbrella ready for heading to class, 3/4 of an inch over there towards Eupora. And then of course down along Attala County, I do see some darker green showing up there. So close to an inch for folks down there. Macon, been a pretty dreary day and adding to those rainfall totals, but I'm sure you have no complaints right there. And as we look over the past 3 hours, we can see where those showers are primarily highlighted. That's going to be along and south of Highway 82 and east of Highway 45. If you live west, complete change of the forecast, and we're going to see some much calmer conditions be put in place. If you're heading out to the park for any of those ball games or to just enjoy some of those park activities, we do have a new playground at Ballard. Maybe time to explore it if you've not been just yet. Well, it's around 30% chance around 6 p.m., of course, along the Alabama state line and along Highway 82. 8 p.m., 20%, and then diminishing into those overnight hours. So any of those evening soccer games, of course, might need the umbrella handled with that. But yeah, that's just what we're watching here in the Room to Room Weather Center, is just those scattered showers lingering in the forecast. 5:30 on your Tuesday, a lot of those shifting more to the east, and a lot of those boundaries that were allowing these to develop just completely collapsing in on itself. So it's not going to be something that is going to be overly significant overnight. Yes, a few raindrops here, a few raindrops there, but overall that coverage is going to be very sporadic and not exactly something that we are paying close attention to here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Overnight, a lot of those chances shift eastward, as you can see behind me in central Alabama, and we're left with dry conditions and mostly clear conditions into that overnight forecast. I do want to note some of that cold front allowing for some lifting to take place for maybe a few showers overnight, but even those covering very isolated locations and not everyone, 90% of us staying on the drier side. So moving into that Wednesday morning forecast, of course, watching a few showers out there towards northwest Mississippi, but the rest of us dealing with a mild start to the day. Yes, another mild start to the day, unfortunately, but at least a drier forecast. So as we're heading to work, not having to get the windshield wipers going or any umbrellas with us. So that school bus forecast, of course, is going to look ideal. 67 degrees around pickup. But you see the hint that we're going to be talking about here in a moment. cooler air pushing in. Drop off around 79. I know Matt said cold front, and he doesn't like using the term cold when temperatures aren't cold, but I would say this is enough to say a cool front, and I think we can get away with that as we push in some of those cooler temperatures, at least dropping it ever so slightly. So that Wednesday morning, that front pushed all the way through, and that'll give us that cooler air towards the afternoon and drier air. That's one of the big things that he was mentioning, and that is exactly what we will experience. So 7:30 a.m. on your Wednesday as that front has cleared and a lot of that lifting mechanism has gone with it. We're not expecting any showers for our Wednesday post 8 o'clock in the morning. So 10:30, of course, those dry conditions, partly cloudy skies, a little bit of that moisture lingering around, but you see behind those clouds that northerly wind really pushing in that drier and cooler forecast. So by Wednesday afternoon, not going to be the mid 80s, not going to feel like the upper 80s, a complete step back and finally feeling, I would say, closer to fall as it's been over the past few days. So as you head into those Wednesday afternoon plans and your church forecast into our Wednesday evening, of course, it's going to be ideal temperatures and ideal conditions all the way around. And those northerly breezes are going to be 5 to 10 miles an hour. So that'll just add to what is already below what we've been experiencing. So here you see high temperatures, 78 New Albany, 77 Holly Springs, and 77 South Haven. 80 Houston, 84 Macon, and 85 in Aliceville. You can see that front slowly but surely bringing in some of those cooler temperatures, and we'll really see the effects of that into our Thursday morning. So let's keep that future cast going, and you'll see that there's really not much to talk about overnight and heading into the start of our Thursday. That's that high pressure starting to settle in a bit more. Might see a little bit of those thin clouds out there towards Sardis Lake and Clarksdale, but those start to dissolve on out, and as that front continues to push eastward, I mean, let's be real right now. Strike model is very aggressive, trying to circulate in some of that moisture there from the east side. Not expecting that in the forecast. Now those drier conditions will remain in place along with those mostly clear conditions. So although we'd love a few more raindrops, probably not in the forecast for our Thursday as that high pressure really dominates our area. So high temperatures on your Thursday. You ready for it? Have you been asking for it? Well, don't worry, it is here. 78 Bruce, 75 Holly Springs, 74 South Haven. The fact we're talking about high temperatures being equivalent to some low temperatures that we saw a couple weeks ago, yeah, seasons are shifting. Finally feeling a little bit more like fall, and only 80 there towards Macon and Aliceville. So looking at that rain chance forecast, again, very minimal coverage for your Wednesday morning and then drying up beyond that point. And then very, very dry. We talked about burn bans at the top of this show. Expecting a few more counties to be added to that very realistic possibility towards parts of next week, and drought not looking really good for that extended outlook. And high temperatures, like we talked about, taking a step back, 79 Wednesday, 77 Thursday, and gradually climbing there into midweek next week, back into the mid 80s. We're just hoping that that drier feeling air remains in place. So if it's 84, hopefully it will continue to feel like 84, at least be a little bit more bearable where that stickiness won't be in the forecast. Because if you walked outside today, you felt it, and it was not the most comfortable feeling air. So 77 Thursday, 78 Friday. That's, of course, a great story. But 55 Thursday morning, comparatively speaking, to 66 on your Wednesday. So those mild values really falling back to those cooler conditions. If you're my wife and say mid 50s are cold, grab the long sleeves or grab a sweatshirt at the very least, because then you can have a t-shirt underneath it and then be able to dress for both forecasts. It's just that time of year. But she made a point to tell me the other day, she's like, Gabe, 50s are cold. Even low 60s are cold. So if you're cold natured, like my beautiful bride, well, then that's what you can expect to dress for. But I know that we're continuing to track the effects of this front in that extended forecast tonight at 6. Going to talk more details on that temperature forecast. And we're also going to be talking about severe weather preparedness week. Just what are some ways that we can stay prepared? What do we usually expect this time of year? Because the shifting of the seasons does bring some inclement weather possibilities. And we're going to be walking through that in more detail coming up in the Room to Room Weather Center tonight at 6. One of the ways that you can stay weather prepared, and we'll talk more details at 6 tonight about this, is the Mississippi Live Weather app. That's one of the first layers of protection you can have to stay aware, stay prepared, and stay safe whenever severe weather does strike. We'll, of course, have more details coming up at 6 p.m., like I mentioned, on our live show on Mississippi Live Weather. And we'll be back tonight at 10 p.m. for the latest on those model runs and tracking what's left of those showers before this dry, fall-like forecast moves in place. Have a great evening. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Hey, you there! Ever try to do something in under 6 minutes? Anything, like, say, grow a beard. I bet you can. At Sweet Pepper's Deli, you get quality food in under 6 minutes. Now how about that? Sweet Pepper's Deli. Life is sweet.
Join the Chickasaw and Kana Foundation for the 5th annual Piamico Day wreath-laying ceremony at Fair Park in downtown Tupelo on October 13th. Starting at 10 a.m., enjoy demonstrations of Chickasaw history and culture, followed by the wreath-laying ceremony at noon.
If he had only turned